So who saw this coming? An NFC East showdown with a spot in the Super Bowl on the line. The Washington Commanders, playing in their first NFC championship since 1992, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in their second NFC championship in the last 3 years. One of these teams, a Cinderella story. The other team entering the year with Super Bowl expectations, but only one of them can advance to the big game. And that's what we're here to tell you and predict today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. So glad you could join us to break down the NFC Championship between the Washington Commanders and Philadelphia Eagles. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. As the football season as a whole comes to an end, everybody wants more content. Everybody wants to be able to get their football fix year-round. That's what we're here to do. So even though the season's about to end, it will not end here at our channel. So go check out thegridironexpert.com. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification button so you get non-stop football content all year long. Do not miss out and become a member of our GE Nation. So, again, what a run really for both of these programs. But obviously the Commanders is the team that everybody's talking about. New head coach in Dan Quinn, rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. They weren't supposed to be here. They probably weren't even supposed to make the playoffs, let alone be one win away from making the Super Bowl. Obviously, this is a divisional matchup. The Commanders and the Eagles have faced each other twice already this year, splitting the series. The Eagles won 26-18 in Philadelphia. And then back in December, Washington winning 36-33 in Washington, scoring a game-winning touchdown with just 6 seconds remaining. So both games relatively close. We'll touch more on those in a second. Both these teams making impressive playoff runs already. The Eagles defeating the Packers and then the Rams in the divisional round, while the Commanders maybe for some a more impressive run going on the road and beating Tampa Bay in thrilling fashion and then pretty much dominating from start to finish the number 1 seed in the Detroit Lions, beating them 45-31. Unbelievable performance by the offense, maybe even more so by the defense. Let up a lot of yards, but found a way to get the win. We'll take a look at the X's and O's. We'll start with Washington here. It's the Jaden Daniels show, right? I mean, this is what we're seeing from Jaden Daniels is truly unbelievable. We've seen impressive performances from rookie quarterbacks before. We've seen impressive seasons by rookie quarterbacks before. I don't know if we've seen something like this, a Washington team that historically has been so bad with a new coach and a lot of key new pieces. You throw a rookie quarterback in there, supposed to be your franchise guy, and maybe in time he'll get you to this point, not in the first year. In the first year, sometimes those rookie quarterbacks are carried by strong run games or strong defenses, and Washington has a little bit of both, maybe, but Daniels is doing a lot of this by himself. If you include playoff stats, he's thrown for over 4,000 yards and 29 touchdowns and has rushed for over 900 yards. In the playoffs alone, that's just 2 games, he has thrown for 567 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and has rushed for 87 yards. He's completing over 69% of his passes in these 2 playoff games, both on the road. Very hard thing to do in the NFL against 2 teams that won their divisions in the Bucs and the Lions. He had 299 passing yards and 2 touchdowns against the Lions in that game in Detroit last week. In his last game against Philadelphia, the game that was played in Washington, he had 258 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sure, but 81 rushing yards as well. This guy is about as cool as they go. I've watched him all year long. I've watched him in the playoffs. You watch him on the field. You watch him on the bench. He is just unfazed by anything. He doesn't celebrate too early. He doesn't seem upset when he throws a pick. He doesn't get rattled by pressure. Doesn't get rattled by mistakes. He just goes out there and plays ball, and he does it extremely well. The Commanders also average over 150 rushing yards per game. That makes him 3rd in the NFL. So you've got a mobile quarterback in Jaden Daniels that helps attribute to that. But you've got a great running back as well in Brian Robinson, who's rushed for over 800 yards on the year. They need to find a way to maintain that balance entering this game against Philadelphia, a game they absolutely can win. If you keep this Philadelphia defense on their toes, and Jaden Daniels is able to eclipse about 50 yards rushing in this game, and the Eagles don't know whether or not he's going to take off and run or drop back and hit someone like Terry McLaurin or whoever it is on a big play, that's going to go to the benefit of Dan Quinn and his offense. So this is a Washington team that has to find a way to, again, remain balanced. They had 299 passing yards and 182 rushing yards against the Lions in the divisional round. If they can do a performance like that, they're going to win this game and they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I have no doubt in my mind. But that's easier said than done against an Eagles defense that we'll talk about here shortly. The Eagles offensively, it's the Saquon Barkley show, right? So Washington, it all revolves around their rookie quarterback and Jaden Daniels. For the Eagles, it all revolves around Saquon Barkley, who, including playoffs, has rushed for over 2,300 yards on the year. In the playoffs alone, Barkley has rushed for 324 yards. That includes 205 last week against the Rams. Can anyone stop him? I mean, seriously, that's the question we've been asking ourselves all year long. Is there anybody in the league right now that can stop Saquon Barkley? He rushed for 146 yards and 150 yards, respectively, in their two meetings against Washington. So the Commanders really haven't done a good job of stopping him. They played the Eagles close in both those games, even won one of them. But Barkley had monster games in both, 4 total touchdowns in those two meetings combined. This is an offense that runs through him, pun intended. It runs through Saquon Barkley. Ironically, the X factor coming into this game on offense for the Eagles is their quarterback. Typically the most important position on the field, and you could argue it still is, but Jalen Hurts has got to start playing better. He's not playing poorly, but if the Eagles want to win this game, if the Eagles want to win the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts has got to find himself. He was injured in that last meeting against the Commanders. Didn't really see him hardly at all in the last meeting, got hurt, and the Eagles still almost won that game. Credit there. But in the playoffs, Hurts has only thrown for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has 106 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, that big one against the Rams, but he only had 131 passing yards against the Packers, only 128 passing yards against the Rams. He's got to find a way to get this passing attack going. And some are going to say, I got a lot of smart guys out there, they're going to go, well, he doesn't need a pass if Saquon Barkley's running so well. You're right. If no one can stop Saquon Barkley, why would you stop running with him? Why? But in the event that he does get shut down, or in the event that he's not breaking off a 60-yard run every time he touches the ball, in the event that you face a second or third and long situation, you're not going to give the ball to Saquon Barkley. You're going to give the ball to Jalen Hurts. Can he deliver? They've got talent. You've got A.J. Brown. You've got Devontae Smith. But you've got to find a way to almost not be balanced. Be run heavy. And obviously Jalen Hurts' dual threat ability is tough to stop too. But he's got to find a way to deliver through the air. He's got to find a way to eclipse 200 passing yards. Because if he's not doing that, the Eagles are not going to win this game. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, regardless of who they play, whether it's the Chiefs or the Bills. It's just not going to happen. So the passing game has got to take a bit of a step forward to complement Saquon Barkley, but also in the event that Barkley gets stopped, knowing that the offense is still more than capable to deliver. That's what we've got to see. And I think all that can happen against the Commanders on Sunday. Because here's the thing. Dan Quinn, I love him. I love his passion. I love his energy. He's a defensive-minded coach. But his defense has not been great in Washington right now. It just isn't. They allowed 521 yards to the Lions in the divisional round. 521 yards. 320 passing yards, 201 rushing yards. That's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane against the Lions. The reason Washington won that game, the reason they were able to win despite giving up over 500 yards of offense, was because they forced 5 turnovers, one of those being a massive pick 6. So 5 turnovers led to 21 points for the Commanders and ultimately a win on the road. You take away just 1 or 2 of those turnovers, and I don't know if Washington's here right now. It might be the Eagles at the Lions right now. So, and bottom line is, while that was a phenomenal defensive performance, it's not going to happen again, right? The Commanders aren't going to walk into Philadelphia and force 5 turnovers in this game. It's just not going to happen. So, what can they do elsewhere? Find a way to force turnovers. I mean, you do that again, great. You're going to win the game, but it's not going to happen. The Eagles are not going to turn the ball over that often. So what can you do? Well, for starters, you've got to find a way to stop the run, and the Commanders haven't been good at doing that. They have one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, giving up over 137 rushing yards per game. That's 30th out of 32 teams in the National Football League. They're now facing, again, the best running back in the league right now in Saquon Barkley. I believe the secondary can do their job. We talked about Jalen Hurts and his struggles. He hasn't been playing that great right now. The secondary clearly did a pretty good job against Jared Goff and the Lions last week, one of the best passing attacks in the league. I have faith in their secondary. I genuinely do. I think they're extremely underrated. But if the running game gets set up enough, if Saquon Barkley isn't able to be stopped, that could set up some big-time shots down the field from Jalen Hurts to a guy like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, or tight end, whoever it may be. So continue to ride your secondary, but you've got to find a way to limit. You're not going to hold Saquon Barkley like 50 yards or anything like that. He had 146 the first time, 150 the second time. He's going to eclipse 100 in this game. Just don't allow him to break any big-time runs. Keep everything in front of you. You might have a chance to get a few stops, might be able to force the Eagles into a handful of mistakes. If you can take advantage of those, you've got a great chance. But again, it's all about containing that run game. For the Eagles, they've got one of the best defenses in this league. Statistically, entering the playoffs, they had the number one defense in the league. They were only giving up 278 yards per game. They're second in the league in passing defense, giving up just 192 passing yards per game. And like the Commanders, they've done a very good job of forcing turnovers throughout these playoffs. They forced 4 turnovers against the Packers in their wild card win. They forced 2 big turnovers against the Rams, and then got that massive stop, no really turnover-wise, but got that massive stop as the Rams were in the red zone looking to take the lead in the final seconds. The defense came through clutch in those final few plays. They've got 7 sacks and 14 tackles for a loss in just 2 playoff games so far this year, but they've got to find a way to contain Jaden Daniels. The secondary, as good as it's been, number 2 passing defense in the league, got torched against Matthew Stafford and the Rams. And the Rams have got some pretty dang good receivers. Stafford's one of the most veteran quarterbacks in the league, and he threw for 291 yards in that game. So the secondary is vulnerable. They are vulnerable to big-time plays. They are vulnerable to yards after the catch. So what the Eagles need to do on Sunday is to create pressure on Jaden Daniels. He has been as cool as they come, unfazed by anything. He survived a road environment in Tampa Bay. He survived a tough road environment in Detroit. Philadelphia, though, is a different breed. This is one of the toughest places to play, I think, in the NFL, and especially becomes the case when it comes to playoff time. Especially becomes a place when it's 1 win away from the Super Bowl. So he played well the first time they came to Philly. Can he do it again? Can the Eagles get pressure on him? Can they rattle him? Can they force him into mistakes? But more than anything, can you contain him in the pocket? He is great as the passer. But if you contain him to that pocket, don't allow him to escape, don't allow him to run, don't allow him to extend plays, it limits that Commanders offense quite a bit and provides more opportunities for a sack, for a strip sack, for a bad throw, interception from Jaden Daniels. And that's what you've got to do if you're the Eagles defensively, is use the crowd, use the pass rush to your advantage to rattle Daniels in the biggest game of his career in an extremely tough environment and find a way to get this win. So I'm beyond pumped, right? I'm beyond pumped for this game. It's a fun storyline. Division rivals, 3rd time these teams are meeting. Who's going to win the series? Washington won one, the Eagles won the other. Spot on the Super Bowl on the line. The Commanders trying to get to their first since 1992. The Eagles trying to get to their 2nd Super Bowl in the last 3 seasons. It's kind of a tale of 2 franchises here right now. It should be a great game. I think it's actually going to come down to a potential 1-possession game. That's what we've seen in the last 2 meetings. But the one thing I want to point out is the fact that while the Eagles only beat the Commanders by 8 the first time, and while the Commanders did win the second time, 36-33, with that game-winning touchdown with 6 seconds left, the Eagles were in control of both those games for a while. The Eagles were up 26-10 in the 4th quarter. They trailed 10-6 early, or really kind of entering the 4th quarter, and then came alive, got up 26-10. The Commanders got a late score, made it a 1-possession game. The second meeting, where Washington won, the Eagles were up 21-7. They were up 27-14 in the 4th quarter, and they did the majority of that without Jalen Hurts, who, despite his struggles, despite his somewhat lackluster play, is still going to be better than any other quarterback on their roster. So the point I'm trying to make is, while the Commanders deserve a lot of praise and while they deserve a lot of credit for what they've done, the Eagles have been in control of both of these games they've played against the Commanders. Now, with their backs against the wall, at home, with a relatively fully healthy team, I just don't see the Eagles losing this game. I do think the Commanders give them everything they've got. I do think this game comes down to late in the 4th quarter. I think it's a close 1-possession game. But the Eagles' defense is ultimately going to be the difference maker against a rookie quarterback that's had a season for the ages and shows that the future is very bright in Washington. But it is going to be the more veteran-led home team Eagles that win this game and advance back to the Super Bowl, where they will either have a rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs or maybe get a little something different and face the Buffalo Bills. We'll have that prediction for you tomorrow right here on the channel. But for now, the Eagles going to be the representative in the Super Bowl out of the NFC. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com. That includes, again, everything we have here at the channel, because the football season never ends here at the Gridiron Expert. So take advantage of it, join our team, become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.